The market or the industry in terms of livestock production has become much more professional. It has also gone hand in hand with upscaling the average size of the farms. Success can be defined in many different ways, but in the end, success also needs to be sustainable. We need to help these producers, farmers, to think a little bit ahead of the current situation, not only from an environmental perspective, sustainable, but also from an economic perspective.
Welcome to Business Insights, where corporate leaders, startup founders, and business experts reveal their insights that help you deepen your understanding of the industry and become the market leader. Join us now to find solutions to your business. The livestock industry in Vietnam has begun to see new joint ventures and partnerships in the vertical integration approach, meaning collaboration between businesses, producers, and the market. This creates a foundation for a modern and sustainable livestock sector, and thereby promotes the long-term availability of high-quality agricultural food system in Vietnam for the future. So in line with the market trends, during 15 years of accompanying the improvement of Vietnamese livestock industry, the team at DHUS continually strives to provide the solution that contribute to the development of the livestock industry in Vietnam. So in today's episode, it's my honor to welcome Mr. Johan van der Ban, General Director of DHUS Vietnam, to speak about the sustainability, a key to the advantage of the livestock industry in Vietnam. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I know that you are very fluent in Vietnamese. What about we do some warm-up in Vietnamese?
Okay, good.
Very good. Vậy thì chúng ta sẽ cùng có một phần chào hỏi đầu tiên cùng ông Johan van der Ban. Câu hỏi đầu tiên của Trang dành cho anh là anh đã sống ở Việt Nam được bao nhiêu lâu rồi ạ?
Dạ, tới Đức ở Việt Nam khoảng 6 năm rưỡi. Trong hai giai đoạn đầu tiên là từ năm 2013-14. Sau đó anh đi làm việc ở bên Myanmar khoảng 5 năm. Từ đó năm 2020 anh đi về Việt Nam lại để làm việc ở đây.
Và anh học tiếng Việt được bao nhiêu năm rồi ạ?
Được khoảng 4 năm rồi.
4 năm mà anh đã nói tiếng Việt tốt như vậy, trời ơi. Vậy thì nói về ẩm thực đi, món ăn Việt Nam nào mà anh yêu thích nhất?
Cái đó cũng khó trả lời, tại vì ở Việt Nam đồ ăn rất là ngon. Nhưng mà một số món anh rất là thích là bún thịt nướng chả giò, phở bò, một số món khác nữa, mắm tôm cũng được,
bún đậu mắm tôm,
cái gì cũng được, ngon.
Rất là dễ ăn đồ ăn Việt Nam. Vậy nếu như nói về một số địa điểm du lịch của Việt Nam mà anh đã từng đến thì anh thích nơi nào nhất ạ?
Thực sự anh ở Việt Nam đi công tác rất là nhiều rồi, cũng đi khoảng 63 tỉnh ở Việt Nam rồi. Và nếu như mà không có làm việc ở nhà cũng tốt mà khỏe. Nhưng mà lâu lâu đi du lịch cho nó vui. Ví dụ đi Phú Quốc hoặc là đi Mũi Né hoặc là đi những cái chỗ miền Bắc cũng được.
Trang nghĩ là anh không chỉ hiểu văn hóa, nói tiếng Việt rất tốt, hay là tập ngày hôm nay mình nói bằng tiếng Việt hết được không ạ?
Tùy em.
Just kidding. I think we can switch back to English to make it more comfortable for you because we have a lot of things to discuss today. Okay, so thank you very much for the warm-up. And now let's focus on the sustainability in the livestock industry in Vietnam. So I understand that the livestock industry in Vietnam has made the remarkable strides in the past decades. In your opinion, if you look back, what of these transformations impact you the most?
So if we look back at the overall development of the livestock industry in Vietnam, in general, based on our experience in Vietnam during the past 15 years, when we entered as DHUS, being a Dutch family-owned company, our key customers were distributors of our feed products, nutritional solutions in combination with the feed that we produce, who were selling these products to small farmers. So really the smallholder farmers with maybe 1,000 chickens or 20 pigs or some cows. But nowadays, if we look at the situation, we can say that the market or the industry in terms of livestock production has become much more professional. It has also gone hand in hand with upscaling the average size of the farms. So what we also see back in our customer portfolio is that we are doing much more business directly with farms. At the same time, we also still have a quite wide portfolio of distributors, of dealers. But the consolidation in the industry is something that we absolutely have to acknowledge, and that we also try to drive together with our customers, together with our partners.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it has been a long time, and I know that Dehers Vietnam focus a lot on sustainability. So first of all, in your opinion, what is sustainability?
So sustainability is a very popular topic nowadays. Defining the term sustainability is not so easy. It depends on the type of industry in which companies are active and the role that they would like to play. But I think to make it clear and general, it's about taking care of this planet that we are living on and with, so that future generations also can still enjoy living here in a way that is healthy, in a way that also helps to protect the environment, so that also the next generation after that can benefit from the same. I think sustainability only can be successful if it's not only from an environmental perspective sustainable, but also from an economic perspective sustainable. So what in the past used to be emphasized a lot, CSR, corporate citizenship, also philanthropy, working with NGOs, donating, etc. That is also important, I believe, can be an important part of a certain sustainability strategy. I think it has to be a combination of different things, and it has to be sustainable from the perspective of environmental, but also from a business perspective to make it really sustainable.
Yeah, so as far as I see, Dehers is not talking about sustainability as a trend, but sustainability is something in the core values of Dehers since such a long time. So Dehers has been in Vietnam for 15 years already. What do you think about the sustainability in the Vietnamese livestock industry?
So I think in the sustainability in the Vietnamese livestock industry, it depends again on the definition of sustainability. But what I believe that many consumers are thinking about, and probably also the viewers of this podcast, it has to do with protecting the environment. It has to do with making sure that no trees are going to be cut down so that the land can be used to produce, for example, in our industry, soybeans or corn. That's definitely relevant. On the other hand, the people that are claiming that they're very interested in sustainability they also wear a different hat, and they're also consumers. The Vietnamese consumers in general, I would say, are not really very interested yet in sustainability if you look at their consumption behavior, which has a direct impact on the way farming is done in Vietnam. So we do see a trend of, like I said before, more standardization, more development in terms of the level of scale of farms, so bigger farms. At the same time, we also see more and more pressure from the Vietnamese government, also compared to other countries in Asia or in the whole world, in fact. The Vietnamese government is extremely strict when it comes to protecting the environment, making sure that farms are compliant with environmental laws. That is definitely the case. But at the same time, if we really go into the field, like we do every day with more than 1,000 representatives, technical specialists, commercial people, veterinary specialists, husbandry specialists, who are meeting with farmers, who are meeting with also government stakeholders in the field, there we see that really still a lot can be done, even though we are on the right track, we believe. in terms of making the farms more professional, reducing antibiotics, for example, which is a big issue in livestock production in Vietnam. Still a lot of antibiotics is used, which has a negative impact on human health, potentially. So if you compare that with, for example, aquaculture in Vietnam, which is also an important industry in which we're active, livestock on the one hand and aqua on the other hand, there we see different trends already for the reason, most importantly, that the products that are produced in Vietnam are exported for a very big part. For example, pangasius or shrimp or certain marine fish that is also produced in Vietnam to international markets, the US, Canada, Europe, also within Asia, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, where the standards based on demand from retailers and therefore consumers who are behind that are very high already. There we see that the farmers who are part of a certain production value chain need to be compliant with a much higher standard already. Otherwise, they cannot sell products to these markets. So I believe that one of the big opportunities for Vietnam in the future, with more than 100 million consumers, is that step by step the demand from consumers will change. The government will continue to develop certain policies to protect the environment, to make sure that people can always have access to healthy and also affordable food products, including animal protein products, meat, eggs, milk, and fish. And the demand from consumers, that will in the end define how fast the Vietnamese livestock industry will really catch up with, for example, peers in other countries, including, for example, Thailand, but also in Europe and the US. There's a very big potential for Vietnam to become more and more competitive and to become globally a serious player when it comes to livestock farming or animal protein production. But the key bottleneck is really related to sustainability at this moment, which is partly because the consumer market in Vietnam is not really ready to really pay for what they say they are interested in, let's say.
So we see that the demand from the customers, the consumers, put a pressure on the producers, the market. But is there any other way to make the producers, the market in the livestock industry? They go for the sustainability first, and then they put in the market the products with sustainability.
That's a good question. I think what we are trying to do as the Heus is to support our partners, our independent livestock farmers and distributors that we are working with to remain and become even more successful. Success can be defined in many different ways, but in the end, success also needs to be sustainable. It's nice to be successful today, but if after 10 years from now your business model doesn't work anymore, you have quite a serious problem. So we need to help these producers, farmers, to think a little bit ahead of the current situation. And what works very well, based on our experience, is to share best practices that we know from other countries or markets in the world in which we are active, including Western Europe, including the Netherlands, for example, which have a direct positive impact on the business of such a farmer. For example, when we talk about antibiotics, which is really a serious issue in Vietnam, when it comes to producing chickens or pigs or cows, you don't want to eat meat or drink milk or eat eggs and have residues of antibiotics in the food products, because when you eat that all the time, your body becomes resistant, and when you have a disease, you will go to the doctor, you will get a prescription, hopefully in the future, instead of going to a pharmacy and buy the antibiotics directly without a prescription. And then that antibiotics is not effective anymore because you have been getting used to the same antibiotics that are effective in animal production. That is something that we absolutely want to avoid as soon as possible. It's really about human health. The good thing here is that when animals are healthy, they don't need any antibiotics, the same as humans. So producing animals in an environment in which they can be healthy is very important. And that has to do not with feed, it has to do with the management of the farmer. Am I providing a healthy environment in terms of drinking water? Is it clean? Is there fresh air? Am I taking good care of these animals? If you do that, these animals, they don't need antibiotics. And you will reduce, in fact, your cost as well, because your animals can grow step by step, they are more efficient, and your cost price will go down. In the end, you make a higher profit, and you can invest that profit in your farm, and you can, step by step, you can grow your business without using any antibiotics, and you become more profitable, and that's also, to say, more sustainable. So I think this is just one example of how we are looking at it. Training farmers about management, about what does it mean to produce animals in an environment in which they can actually flourish. It's the same with humans. When you are laying down on the street all day and you are breathing air that is polluted, you're not going to be very healthy. You will be coughing, you're going to go to the doctor. With animals, it's exactly the same. So we need to train the farmers, and the farmers in Vietnam have a huge potential. They're really good farmers already. Who are out-competing many farmers in other countries already, even in Europe. So we believe in the potential of the industry 100%. We, as a feed supplier, will make sure that we put healthy and good quality ingredients in the feed for your animals. We provide transparency. Where do we source these raw materials from? It's not needed to cut any more rainforest through our supplier network as well, both in terms of locally sourced raw materials as well as imported raw materials on the other hand. And you can focus on your farming business. We can be your partner, a reliable partner. Next to that, we also can help you to be connected a bit longer term. The farmers always want to make a profit. So that's an incentive that always works, especially in Vietnam. People are extremely entrepreneurial. They will take that opportunity. So that's a big opportunity for the industry.
The Husks, 15 năm nâng tầm chăn nuôi Việt.
A big part of the livestock industry is already thinking about it every day, especially companies that are connected or farmers that are connected to modern retail within Vietnam, but especially some examples. It's a small part of the market until today.
So it all starts from the mindset. So in your opinion, how close does the mindset of the Vietnamese livestock farmers or producers to the mindset of sustainability that we are speaking about? How many years do you think will it take for the Vietnamese livestock industry to be at that level?
So I think a big part of the livestock industry is already thinking about it every day. Especially companies that are connected or farmers that are connected to modern retail within Vietnam, but especially some examples. It's a small part of the market until today, but there are some farmers also with whom we are working together to produce meat products for international markets. These farmers, they have to think about it every day. If they don't provide transparency, the way they produce, if they don't produce in accordance with certain quality standards that are internationally acknowledged and accepted and actually required, they cannot continue their business. So they have to think about it every day. We have to break it down, I think. Keep talking about sustainability, it's like a little bit maybe vague, but what are we actually referring to? You can refer to safe food, you can refer to animal welfare. I don't think many people in Vietnam, compared to, for example, the Netherlands, are concerned a lot about animal welfare. Some pigs in the Netherlands, they live in 5-star hotels almost. And here it's more about, I would say, let's first focus on the more important things in relation to human health and safe food, which is why we have divided our sustainability strategy in 4 key pillars. And under all these pillars, we have developed a number of very clear goals and projects connected to these goals on how to achieve the goals. So for us, in our industry, we say in our company, in fact, we have a sustainability strategy as a Royal De Heus group, worldwide. And we try to implement that in all the different countries where we are active, Vietnam being one of the most important ones by now. And we say the first pillar is feed for food. That has to do with healthy food, for example, the antibiotics example that I gave. The second one is a sustainable supply chain. Where are the raw materials that we are buying to produce our products? Where are they actually coming from? Is it explainable? Is it transparent? Do we understand what kind of land the soybeans or the corn or the palm has been grown on? And what's the history of that, for example? Also, what are the conditions in which workers who are working in warehouses of suppliers or fields in the markets from where we import, how are these conditions? So socially and environmentally responsible sourcing is important for that. Thirdly, and also very important in the Vietnamese culture and the Asian culture in general, is to take care of the societies, the environment in which we are active, the villages where we are active directly with our own feed mills, which are located at industrial zones, but also the villages in which our customers, the farmers, the dealers are active. So taking care of the communities around us, very important as well. Well, how do we impact such communities in a positive way? And if there's any negative way, take it away as soon as possible, reduce any negative impact. And fourthly, the last pillar of that sustainability strategy is more internal oriented, and it has to do with the employees that we have, who together form our company. And we say we are investing all the time as much as possible in our own workforce and try to bring them to the next level, give them a safe environment to work in, with many opportunities to develop themselves personally together with the company. And in an environment like Vietnam, I think it's fantastic because the people, not only the farmers with whom we work, but also our employees are very eager to learn, very eager to improve every day, to take opportunities, to develop themselves. So we offer many types of learning and development programs to focus on certain leadership skills that we believe our colleagues should have to develop themselves further as well as their career. And I think based on these four pillars, feed for food, sustainable supply chain, the local communities that we are active in, we need to foster those. And fourthly, thriving employees. These are the four key pillars that we distinguish. We developed many different projects connected to each of those four pillars in order to make it more tangible and to break it down in smaller pieces so that we can say, okay, when are we successful? So we define a baseline, we have projects, we have goals. Through those projects, we try to get there based on a certain budget, based on a certain timeline, and we need to achieve these results, and we measure that all the time. Then we can say after a certain period of time, okay, we are successful, or we still need to bridge the gap, and there are some hiccups. So how is it possible, and how can we overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think it's very practical to break down the successes, the big successes, into smaller ones and celebrate the successes. So earlier you mentioned the CSR. In Vietnam, many people think that sustainability and CSR are interchangeable terms, which means they think that, okay, CSR, so when we are profitable, we can think of CSR and we do something for the society. But if the business isn't going well, we need to focus on our business first, but not CSR or sustainability. So what do you think about this perspective?
Yeah, so for us also there, I think it's important to define what is meant by CSR and again, sustainability. But hearing your question, I think you mean CSR more in terms of philanthropy, so donating to an orphanage or working together with a certain NGO. That's not enough. So it's also not like, okay, we are now profitable, let's use a small part or a certain part of our profits for CSR. We don't believe that's sustainable. In fact, it's important to also play a certain role. Like I said, we put that under our pillar fostering communities. So there are certain areas in which we are active with our feed mills. So we have 17 feed mills operational all over the country, but we are active in all the different 63 provinces in the country in Vietnam, including some of the provinces where the economic level of development is still quite low. So people, when they're in this period of the year as well, sometimes there are flooding problems or certain storms that have a direct impact on the livelihood of even our indirect customers who are supplied through feed distributors. And then we go into these villages and we try to help them out to solve a certain problem that they're facing. We also are, together with the Vietnamese government, working on a number of different projects, which also are considered to be very sustainable. For example, sourcing more local raw materials, corn, helping local Vietnamese corn farmers to become technically more successful. So they need to get technical training, they need to develop their skills, capabilities. And also they need to get access to certain inputs, they need financial support, they need a buyer of the corn. We are working on quite a big project together with the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Some farmers have a very big challenge nowadays with the focus on protecting the environment, being compliant with the environmental laws in Vietnam, which are really clear and also very strict compared to many other countries, but that's what we have to deal with in order to become more and more excellent. So we strongly support all these policies, but farmers sometimes don't understand what that means. How can I become compliant? What are my investment costs? So we are helping these farmers by training them on the impact of their farm on the environment. What's the actual impact? And once they have that understanding, it becomes also more easy to convert and to make certain changes. But there will be a cost to it as well. They have to invest in a better wastewater treatment system, for example, or a manure handling system. We all have to be compliant. They will not survive. And if they will not survive, we also cannot survive. So we need to share and we need to train and be in it together. So that's the core of our approach when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, so I think that one key factor that is preventing the Vietnamese farmers from being sustainable or being compliant to the government is the cost. So if we are being more practical here and think about the investment, maybe the initial investment that the farmers or the Vietnamese livestock producers, they should focus on. So in your opinion, how should they start?
And we will see, as in many other parts in the world, that the livestock production will shift from provinces surrounding, for example, Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, to other provinces a bit further out of urban areas. And that will happen. It is already happening. So we see that livestock production is shifting to provinces like Tây Ninh, Dak Lak, Yalai, etc. These kind of provinces, also in the central north, Thanh Hóa, and a number of other provinces. The government has provided quite a clear mission, vision, and strategy on how to shift animal production in the coming years to areas where the government believes that actually environmental and sustainable production of livestock animal proteins can take place. So as a farmer, when you are not compliant, meaning you don't have your permits, especially the environmental one, you have quite a serious problem. There is a chance that your farm will be shut down in the coming time or has been shut down already. So in order to be compliant, also to start a new farm or to upgrade your existing farm, it's about looking at, okay, how can I achieve that? Do I have to do certain investments? Do I have to incur higher operational cost maybe to become compliant and by doing that sustainable? If that's the case, what's my business model? I have to understand that first. So we try to also make that a little bit more simple in practice, sit together with farmers, but also together with the government to make it quite open and transparent to see how we can find solutions, win-win together. And indeed, it will come at a cost. But the good thing is about the implementation of the policies here in Vietnam, we are talking about level playing field. So everybody has to comply with the same rules sooner or later, which means that you have to do an investment now, but your neighbor or your competitor also has to do the same, which means everybody is in the same boat and we are in it together. So it's not necessarily a competitive disadvantage for you as a farmer, and the market will pay that back. So we don't really worry about that. Actually, we encourage it to speed that up. It's very good. It's very good for the country. It's very good for the industry in general. And what we believe in as De Heus, as a company, is that further professionalization, you could say, will hopefully also, based on the very entrepreneurial mindset of the Vietnamese in general, including in particular also farmers, that will result in a flourishing independent livestock and aquaculture farming sector in Vietnam. We have demonstration facilities to prove that it's possible to actually produce a chicken or a pig or animal protein products in general without using those, as long as you keep your animals healthy, which is about management. So we try to train the farmers a lot on husbandry, on animal health.
So how exactly does De Heus accompany or support the Vietnamese farmers and producers? What practices have you guys been applying?
So we have different practices. We try to train the farmers a lot. We have hundreds of technical specialists who are training in the field every day our farmers, our partners, our customers, on husbandry, on animal health, etc. So that's what we see as part of our core business. Next to that, we have a big part of the feed products that we are providing. They come in nylon and kind of plastic, mostly 25 kg bags, which is not great. So we would like to, step by step, also reduce that. And we have been working on that for many years already, by providing farmers with solutions, with feeding systems that actually are more efficient. They don't have to use bags anymore. They can store the feed in silos, and we provide that in our own bulk trucks to the farmers. We help farmers to calculate what is the impact also in terms of their footprint on the environment. So we are in it together. That's in our so-called scope 3. Our customers are not in our scope 1 or 2, but it's scope 3. But we would like to make it clear to them what the impact of their activity is on the environment. And also they, at some point, have to be part of that challenge or journey that we are all in towards net zero. Especially the farmers that are quite entrepreneurial and they would like to take some risk because they're not yet sure if their product can be connected to international markets. Those are the farmers, the pioneers that we really like to work with and then make an example out of that. And then many will follow very fast, connecting them to quality buyers, to international markets, quality standards, which goes hand in hand with certain farming standards that are internationally acknowledged. We have been doing this for many years, for many decades, and also for 15 years in Vietnam. But the time has come to measure things, to have a certain baseline, and to follow up on that and provide really clear information and transparency in general as a value chain that we try to manage and to lead together with independent Vietnamese farmers who are really key in achieving final success. Without the farmers, we are absolutely nowhere, and hopefully many farmers would say the same.
So what do you think are some key competitive advantages of De Heus in comparison with the competitors in the Vietnamese market?
So there are several competitive advantages, I would say. One of them is that we never would compete with any farmer in the whole world. So we are partners and not competitors, in contrast to the majority of the, let's say, competitors from a feed perspective, but also from a farmer's perspective, our customers' perspective. We have the same competitors, so that's quite an important competitive advantage, partnership, and not competing with each other. So that's the first thing. The second thing is our heritage, being European from the Netherlands, a leading country when it comes to livestock production, I would say, globally, being connected to leading international knowledge institutes, but also making use of our internal, more than 100 years of experience, knowledge and capabilities, trying to apply that to the market here in Vietnam, and not copy-paste it, but trying to apply it. That is what we try to do. And I think that's also a very big competitive advantage that we step by step should benefit together with our partners from more and more, including also the Vietnamese government, where we try to share policies or ideas for certain projects. And thirdly, another example, finally for now, I would say our ability based on our global network, being active in all over the world as a company. We have that global network which we can actually use to connect the Vietnamese livestock industry to, in terms of sourcing the raw materials that we need transparently, but also especially in terms of connecting potentially our livestock industry, our aqua industry, to, that is already happening in aqua quite a lot, like I said, but in livestock not yet sufficiently. There's a lot of opportunity. And we believe that together with the farmers, with the Vietnamese government, with other stakeholders, we can actually achieve a lot of success based on that network that we have globally.
Relating to the Vietnamese government, so we know that we all are committed to the net zero goal in 2050. So what solutions has DHERS proposed to the Vietnamese government in order to achieve the goals in the, of course, in particular, the livestock industry?
Yeah, so we are in a continuous discussion. We are part of several project teams directly as DHERS, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, certain industry associations as well in Vietnam, of which we are a member. And next to that also, the European Chamber of Commerce is an important platform for us to connect to the decision, to the policymakers in Hanoi, mainly, but also in the different provinces all over the country. So we are trying to share many different things with them. One of them being very important is we need to have a very clear baseline, first of all, because we would like to, we are all very ambitious, I believe, including the Prime Minister, who has committed at COP26 as one of the first, or if not the first, developing economy towards 2050 being net zero, as Vietnam in general. It was really ambitious, and we like that ambition a lot, and we also want to be part of it, but we have to define how to do it. And I think that only can be done if we have a baseline. So that means we need to have a very clear baseline based on which the government needs to provide instructions, policies, and actually law, so that there is a level playing field, and all the companies, stakeholders in the industry are committed to that and are in the same boat. There's level playing field. I think that's very important. So that's the first thing that we have discussed with the government. We also have given examples on how to do that in connection to what we see in the EU and in many other countries in the world as well. So to learn from each other. The second thing is just try to make it very clear and smart again. So split things up in projects. I gave this local corn sourcing project already. I gave a lot of examples about antibiotics already. Another thing is we are, as Vietnam, very eager to improve our trade balance even more, also in livestock. So we want to export more than we import. That's basically what we would like, and we are very happy to achieve that. And we, as a livestock industry player or sector in general, also would like to contribute to that. But you have to have then also the infrastructure to achieve that. If Vietnam would like to export chicken meat, which we are already doing, to the Japanese market, some exports to China already, some other markets, but quite small volumes. In order to make it scalable, you have to start small, but understand what's going on and what the demand is and the requirements are from these markets to which we would like to export. And come back to the previous competitive advantage. I think we have quite a clear view as the host, based on our global presence, of what governments in other countries, in other parts of the world, and consumers in the end, what they want and what they're willing to pay for, and also what not. So the local infrastructure in Vietnam still needs to be upgraded, I believe, to a higher level through the whole value chain, all the different value chains of livestock production.
So I believe that it's great when everyone is speaking about sustainability and asking questions about it, which means that people mindset and perspective is now raising to another level. So if we come back to the sustainability development trends, is there any sustainable development trends in the livestock industry happening in the world right now?
There are many different trends ongoing. Some of them we touched upon already in relation to a certain One Health approach. The health of an animal is the health of a human in the end. So that's something that is also very relevant here. So we definitely support that. Next to that, what we see a lot is in relation a little bit also to the zero measurement, to where are we coming from in order to define where do we want to go to, by when and how, and what would that cost or benefit us from. What is quite popular in the industry is on, like in many other industries as well, is the use of artificial intelligence, data-driven technology, what we call precision farming. So understanding really what is going on in a farm or in a fish pond, which is even more difficult because you cannot see the fish. They are in the water, obviously. So that's not so easy to monitor behavior, to really measure with recognition. Also, actually, face recognition of a chicken is possible, but you can see what's happening, the sounds that they're... So precision farming, and based on that, improve management to keep the animals healthy for the reasons we discussed. So I think those are trends that, that's also very good, and those trends give, and that technology gives a lot of opportunities, which we will definitely be a part of in the coming years.
Yeah. So you're going to be in charge of the area of Vietnam and Myanmar and Cambodia and India next year, right? In 2025. So if we take a look at the next 5 years, what will you and De Haas do in the Vietnamese livestock industry and market in the near future? What plan do you have?
So we have a lot of plans. Currently, De Haas in Asia is active in Vietnam, where we started. Then we entered Myanmar, followed by Indonesia, Cambodia, and now we have a project, our first investment going on in India as well. There are some other markets to come. We are looking at some other markets or countries to enter in Southeast Asia, including, for example, the Philippines. There are a number of other markets that we are looking at, and we are very proud to go into these markets with our heritage, with our history in the Netherlands, in the whole world, in fact, but also driven by the success and the experience that we have gained here in Vietnam during the past 15 years. If you look at our governance model, we have a headquarter in the Netherlands, but also a regional headquarter here in Asia, located out of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. And we have many colleagues, also a lot of Vietnamese people, actually mostly Vietnamese people, who are part of our expansion plans, expansion journey into new markets. So many specialists, many managers who have proven their ability and they have been part of the success here in Vietnam for us. We want them to be a part of our story in the other countries as well. So including in relation to the sustainability discussions, the projects that we have ongoing here in Vietnam. We believe that in many of the countries where we are already active in Asia, and also in the countries that we would like to become more active, that the examples of Vietnam can really serve. And again, don't copy-paste it, but adjust it to the local circumstances as much as possible, so that it's suitable for the local people and the culture in these countries. But make use of the good examples that we have, and that we learned a lot from here in Vietnam. I think if we do that, then and we respect the local people in the other countries and the cultures and the consumer habits, etc., then I think the future looks very bright, and there's a lot of opportunities for growth in this part of the world. So that makes it really exciting.
So I can't wait to see all of that happening in the upcoming years. Thank you very much for being here at Business Insights and giving us a lot of insights in the Vietnamese livestock industry in particular, and the world livestock industry as well. So I wish you and De Heus a lot of success in the upcoming years.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
So ladies and gentlemen, for people who are watching this episode, if you are interested in our conversation today, please don't forget to leave us some comment down below. And of course, hit the subscribe button and share this podcast to more people so they can listen to the insightful information in our episode today. And you can always listen to our podcast on our platforms such as Google Podcast and Spotify. And don't forget, we have the newsletter link down below. Please subscribe to update the newest information from VietSuccess. Thank you very much and see you next time.